Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Mr. Walker.
How's it going?
Could be doing a lot better, actually. Not going so good.
Does that relate to teammates and communication?
I was a little worried that there was not a whole lot going on until the last minute on that document, so you could say part of it was that.
Yeah.
Part of it is I have a midterm tomorrow on the SAT after that, so I'm a little bit...
So, yeah, try to de-stress a little and realize that, yeah, I know that, and it's up to those knuckleheads to, do their part when the time comes. So don't overstress on that part if you can help it.
Yeah.
So I think you've done enough background work where you can just have fun and listen to the other side and think of weaknesses in their argument and what the other guys don't pick up, join in afterwards, that kind of thing. That help?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sort of the nature of the beast with the way people do work. Some people do their work ahead of time and plan actively, and some put it off because they do other things and then do it at the last minute. But that's hard when we're doing group work.
Yeah, I think this is a good skill to learn to develop, though, so I'm glad we're still doing it, though.
Yeah. And I think it's a new thing for some folks. It's one of those skills that'll certainly be useful in life when the time comes. Business and all that, or meetings, and people have to work together and get things done and do their share and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can do a stopwatch for today. How is it going to work here? Timer, that's what I want. So what's your exam in tomorrow? Midterm.
Physics.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like calculus-based physics or anything, so it's not going to be too bad. It's another complication of the day.
Yeah. What time of day is that?
It's like 9:30 in the morning. It's 2 hours.
Okay.
Yep. There's a couple of papers due this week, and I don't know. The debate just kind of like jumped up on me. I was like, last Sunday, I was like, I know this next week is going to be torture.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what much I can do about it, though. So.
Right.
I looked at this chemistry project's Excel spreadsheet for, I think the fluoridation of water might be the thing I want to do. I think the interesting part of that will be sort of like, why do we need fluoridation? Not so much like, maybe talk a little bit about how they do it, but more like what's going on with the teeth and, interactions between acids and...
I think that'll be fascinating. And, Margaret, it's amazing. There's a number of folks out there that somehow are really opposed to fluoridation of water, and it's been one of the most successful programs in terms of, the cheapness of it and how really beneficial it is to teeth. But there's a component of the population that, for some reason, has got it in their head that it's a problem. And
I think I've heard of that. I'm trying to remember who it is, though.
I can't remember either, and it'd be interesting just to chase that down a little bit, maybe, if that's where you go. And it's definitely fascinating. And I feel like I've heard recently that somehow it doesn't strengthen the enamel, which is what I think we've always taught and said, as much as it does something else. And I don't know if it interferes with the way, bacteria work to make the teeth decay or something else. But I think the classic thing we teach in school is that it strengthens the enamel, but I think it's something different. But it definitely helps with teeth decay either way. Yeah, that document is kind of like my little brainstormer, and hopefully it'll give people some ideas of some things to do.
You can take this question as seriously as you want to take it.
Hey, I take every question seriously.
By how seriously you take it, That you will then be able to tell if I'm I'll tell you if I'm joking or not.
All right.
I may or may not have a large bag of M&Ms in my pocket. It is not opened.
Okay. Why?
If I were to open it and share with everybody who I can in the class,
I think you should share those M&Ms as widely as possible.
May I
through
eat them?
Yeah, of course. Through cyberspace, but you got to send everyone in class a few M&Ms and hope they get there.
Yeah,
I got some envelopes.
Yeah.
I have some Priority Express envelopes.
Yeah.
I could go get my chocolate dipped pretzels. I may need those to decompress a little bit.
Yeah. Feel free to. Yeah, that sounds like it might be helpful today.
Yeah. Actually, the OHS that Robin and I go to, they tried to have like a lunch hour where people could sit in and eat lunch and talk together, but nobody showed up to it. It was like not quite the same thing as a cafeteria discussion. It's kind of too bad that flopped, but
that's funny.
Can't share food over the internet. Too bad.
Yeah.
It is nice though. What? Yeah.
For the debate, it seemed like you had a good handle on it. For my closing argument, I pretty much just rounded up all our points. Do you think I should round it up against their points? Do you think that's about?
Yeah. I think that would be
I put my notes in there. I just put like bullet points of all of our points. I don't know if you saw them because I did it like half an hour ago.
Yes, I saw that. So. I think it would be good if you can take some notes, because I have to do their how do I want to say this? If there is a rebuttal that we come up with for one of their probing questions that maybe Maya comes up with a rebuttal, if you could sort of summarize the reason why we rebutted, or sort of one of the reasons some extra thing to summarize what was going on in the debate. Aside from just
so if there's like a new big point or something like that sounds like, I'll keep that. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Where'd you go? There you are. Margaret, do you see on your screen the thing I'm projecting, the debate format? Yes. Okay, good, thanks. Margaret, how much of your screen does that take up compared to how much of the screen does the number of the people as they come in take up? Is it about 50-50, or can you control the size?
Yeah, I can control the slider and stuff. I don't.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like right now, I think I see some of its.
Yeah, looks like he's there, but not.
Or am I?
Oh, nice, Sumvit. Well played.
Hello.
Hey, Robin.
Hello, Mr. Walker.
Robin, it looks like you came out of your attic for today.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was chasing squirrels that night.
A little bit dark.
Yeah. Hey, Robin, while I've got you, will you remember to send me a good version of your project? Because I still don't have that.
Right. I will.
Can you make that like high on your priority list? Because I'd actually like it to share with the whole class so they get to hear it really clearly. I don't know if you realize how hard it is to hear you. And today, can I encourage you to speak up really, firmly when you talk?
Sure, definitely, yes.
And today I can hear you better than I've heard you at any time before. Do you know what's changed?
Not necessarily. I'm really not sure.
Okay, well, just speak up, and hopefully it'll go well today.
Robin?
Yep.
Do you play the video game Counter-Strike Global Offensive?
No, I don't really play video games at all.
Oh, okay, just wondering.
I can't hear anything.
Hey, Olivia.
What is the document you just shared with us?
It's a bunch of project ideas and possibilities.
We have a project after spring break, or what's?
Olivia, you ready to tell us why this country should have more nuclear power? Olivia.
Earlier she said she couldn't hear us.
Olivia. Maybe if I yell louder. Right? Yeah. All right. So that looks like Chandler and
yeah.
Maurice's room, but I don't see anybody there. Oh, maybe it's Maurice. It looked like Maya, maybe. Hey, Maya, welcome to class.
Hi. Sorry.
Come in a little tighter.
I am.
Yep. All right, Maurice, you ready, buddy?
Yeah, just 1 second.
Olivia, can you hear us? Olivia, can you hear us, Olivia? Oh,
I can't hear any of you, just so you know. But we're trying to figure it out. So, okay.
I have a cousin who I swear to God is Olivia. Like, her name's Catherine, and it's not Olivia, but it's absurd.
So, Maurice, you're operating alone today, right? Because Chandler's off in France.
I am, yes. He's
Yeah.
Oh, that's why he sent us a recording of.
Yeah. So Chandler has got his argument recorded, and we'll play that live today. So Chandler will be doing that without us seeing him. So Olivia can't hear us. Olivia, can you still not hear us? Guess not. Let's see. Let me ask people that aren't Olivia then. Maurice, Robin, Samvith, are you ready? Are you guys all set for your debate?
We have text in our document, meaning we are ready.
There you go. Nice. Well answered. Margaret, Maya, and Max, are you guys ready? Yes. All right. So do we know if Olivia was going to make, do we know who's going to make the affirmative arguments on the yes team? So this is a question for Maurice, Robin, or Samvith. Do we know who's going to make the initial affirmative arguments for your debate? Robin?
Basically, Olivia was going to make the opening statement, and then we sort of contribute an argument, each of us.
I see. Okay, thank you. All right, so that's why we need Olivia's sound to be up.
Well, we don't, for the opening argument, she doesn't necessarily need to be hearing us. We just got to go.
I see. Yeah, maybe. That's true. Max is making a good point. Potentially, if she could just go without even hearing us, that would be fine. Let me just try to get a sense of who's starting off. On the negative probing questions, do we know who's doing that? Either Margaret, Max, or Maya?
That's me.
Margaret. Okay. Thank you. And on the negative arguments, who's starting that off?
Chandler.
Oh, yeah. I knew that. So Chandler, and we go to his audio for that. And then on the negative, on the affirmative side, who's doing probing questions at the start?
I can do that.
All right, Maurice. And on the negative rebuttal, who's starting that off? Maya. Okay. On the affirmative rebuttal, who's starting that off?
I think I will.
Robin. Okay. Okay. On the, maybe I should put these on the document so people can see if that helps. I don't know. On the negative closing arguments, that's Maxwell. And on the affirmative closing arguments, some bit. Okay. Thanks, guys. Can people see the normal maximum number of screens? I've made it to constant presence, but I don't feel like it's... Can everybody see all the screens okay? Okay. Let me see. How about if we do this? This is...
Ooh.
So as I type these in, it doesn't mean you're the only person that talks, but at least we're going to start with you, so there's some order to this. I don't even see Olivia, which
she's been missing for
tough. They may be trying to log out and log back in. Any questions about the debate and how things? Whoops, this is awkward. I'm projecting my email. I was going to try to email Olivia, so maybe I shouldn't do that.
Out of curiosity, is this counted as like participation grade, or is this graded separately?
Everything in this class, it's going to be like a test, if you will, or like a project. So it's all part of that. And I do my best to make sure that I realize what goes in it. So I'll look back at the Google Doc and I'll listen today, and just so I don't want people to get hyper nervous, but that's how I'll do it. Everything in this class is going to be like I've only given one test, and then we've had one presentation, and now we're going to have one debate, and we're going to have another presentation, and then we'll have another presentation. We had the video project. We'll have a chance hopefully to do some other stuff, and maybe I want to do some demonstrations too, where we film those and present them to each other. So got a lot of project type stuff that you guys will do, and hopefully you're stretching yourselves in many different ways. Yay, we have Olivia. Olivia, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, Olivia, are you ready to start us off on this great debate?
Sure.
Okay, here's the way I'm going to do this. I've got a timer here, and I'm going to start. Maybe for anyone, what I'll do is just kind of sneak in, like, a 30-second warning or, time's up kind of thing. And, if I call time and you guys have like 5 to 10 seconds worth of finish up, that'll be fine. But other than that, we'll have to cut you off and go to the next person. We'll try to stick to this format and hope people have fun with it. Your main job for everyone in here is to listen really carefully, both to what your teammates have already said and then to what the opposition, if you will, has had to say. And I'm hopefully really listening for, and you're listening for, ways you can, argue against the other side, but also make your points as powerful as possible. So you want to be convincing here. You want to, not be wishy-washy, and you want to be. You don't want to be mean to anyone else, but you want to, because there's no right or wrong answer here. This is clearly up for debate, and there are good arguments on both sides. So you want to make those arguments on your side, and you want to kind of push against the arguments on the other side. So I hope this will be fun, and let's go ahead and start. Olivia?
Sure. Energy sources such as petroleum, natural gas, and coal are all finite, which means that there is a limited amount of that source available to Earth. Nuclear energy is created by the fission of uranium atoms, which can be replicated around the world and for a long time. While there may be supportive arguments against the use of nuclear energy, the list of benefits is much longer. Nuclear energy has the ability to be long-lasting and reliable. According to the Nuclear Energy Institute, one uranium fuel pellet provides as much energy as 1 ton of coal, 149 gallons of oil, or 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas. Additionally, due to the fact that nuclear energy creates steam, not greenhouse gases, the overall effect of the nuclear fission on the environment is much less severe. When many people first hear of nuclear energy, they think of events like Chernobyl or Fukushima. However, with each misstep, there follows a huge increase in safety precautions and technological advancements. Finally, whereas photovoltaic panels are weather dependent and wind power requires wind, obviously, nuclear energy can run year-round. Therefore, it can be seen why nuclear energy is a must and is the way of the future.
Woohoo! So you guys have more time on the affirmative arguments. Do you want to end it there, or do you want to Keep going. Anybody?
Can we yield the remainder of the time to the rebuttal?
I guess I'm an idiot. I thought I set my countdown clock for 4 minutes.
I saw it at 4 minutes.
I hit 4 minutes and I hit go, and now I'm at 5 minutes and counting downwards. So I don't know what happened. I'm a really bad. I don't know.
You set it for 7 minutes somehow.
Oh, I did have it set for 7 minutes. So
I saw it at 4 minutes.
Right, I must have hit it weird with my finger. So, okay, thank you, Olivia. Great job on that. So we turn to Margaret for negative probing questions for 2 minutes. And let me just change this to 2 rather than 7 or whatever weird. All right, Margaret, take it away.
Okay, in your statements, you claimed that nuclear energy is a better source of energy because gasoline and other petroleum products are finite in amount and that we will eventually run out of them. However, my question for you is, isn't the amount of uranium ore finite on the planet? And also connected to that, you claim that greenhouse gas emissions are reduced and that it's somehow sort of a cleaner type of fuel in that regard. And it is my understanding that although nuclear fuel requires less carbon emissions, it involves the mining of uranium ore, and there's a limited supply of that. And that mining process actually results in a number of sort of dirty products. So the production of 1,000 tons of uranium fuel also produces 1,000 tons of radioactive tailings and, nearly 1 million gallons of liquid waste containing heavy metals and arsenic, according to in addition to radioactivity. And so those uranium tailings have contaminated rivers and lakes, not to mention that these mining areas actually overlap with certain Native American reservations. So we're also sort of poisoning that part of the community as well. So my question is, how can you really say this is sort of a cleaner source of fuel? And also, do you think that nuclear energy is affordable? Is there a good reason to believe that? New regulations are inevitably going to increase the cost of nuclear power. They're already much more expensive to build than plants powered by or for fossil fuels. And as an example, there was a construction project in Levy County, Florida, that their projected project cost was going to be something like $22.5 billion. So my question for you is really, is nuclear energy going to be affordable? And finally, where are you going to put these nuclear reactors? We know from history that putting nuclear reactors like Chernobyl and Fukushima between or in areas where there are people causes, the displacement of individuals. Am I out of time?
That's 2 minutes, so yeah.
Okay.
You can always take like 5 or 10 seconds to talk. I know, right? I didn't set that up.
In summary, my questions are, is it really cleaner? Do you think it's affordable? And where are we going to put them?
Nice. Well done. So that's the example. When we hit time, if you want to throw in a couple zingers real quickly, that's great. Excellent. Well done. Okay, we go to Chandler for some audio. So I'm playing that off my computer, and let's hope it's loud enough. So please listen to Chandler as he adds a negative argument. So this is a reason against from Chandler.
Currently, the United States cannot afford to create more nuclear.
All right, wait. We're going to have to try this.
Economic issues, waste treatment issues, as well as safety.
All right. So I don't think this is working here. Let me think.
Right now, currently, the United States cannot afford to.
Try playing it through mine.
Yeah, try that.
Economic issues.
I'm just getting not enough sound coming out.
There's currently low natural gas prices that help alleviate the need for increases in nuclear power. Natural gas.
All right, sorry, I can't even figure out where it is. It should be on playing through.
Playing through iTunes.
It should be playing through iTunes. Yeah, yours is much better than mine.
Okay, hold on. Let me pause it and start it over.
All right, I apologize. Thank you so much for that. And all right, so we give Chandler 3 to 4 minutes, and I think his is already set for 3 minutes and 10 seconds, so we don't need to worry about a timer unless people want to add on. So just for fun, I'll time it. Go ahead. Thank you.
Currently, the United States cannot afford to create more nuclear energy. There's economic issues, waste treatment issues, as well as safety concerns with nuclear power plants. We're going to start with some economic issues. Right now, there's currently low natural gas prices that help alleviate the need for increases in nuclear power. Natural gas is costing roughly a quarter of the cost of nuclear power to be created, which means natural gas is a far more effective model for energy production in the United States. There are ample reserves of natural gas that are just being tapped to now, with over 100 years projected out to be worth of natural gas. Also, there's no need to invest in nuclear energy when it's not even labeled a clean energy source by the United Nations as well. And these plants cost roughly $14 billion to get online, while we already have plenty of facilities necessary for natural gas production. Exelon, the leading nuclear utility provider in the nation, we're the company that owns 23 nuclear reactors. The chairman of this company even said that as long as natural gas prices remain where they are currently and the abundance of natural gas remains high, there's an economic disadvantage to opening a nuclear reactor. So once again, it's just not economically feasible for nuclear reactors, more energy production from nuclear reactors in the United States. Moving on to waste treatment. There is currently no standard protocol for how radioactive waste to be treated, and there's no solution in the foreseeable future. There's been an idea of this Yucca Mountain, but that's been tabled by the federal government, funding cut from Congress, and still the Department of Energy's responsibility to create a standardized method for radioactive waste treatment, but there has been no such standardization in place. Each nuclear power plant stores their nuclear waste on site, generally starting in water and then moving to an underground location, and that's not sustainable, as the nuclear waste remains there for thousands upon thousands of years. It still remains highly dangerous. Also, if there was a site such as Yucca Mountain that there was a need for cross-country transportation by rail, there would be a need for the transportation by rail, and this just opens up additional opportunities for contamination, even the possible confiscation of this material, and could get in the hands of groups such as terrorists as well. Moving on to safety of nuclear power plants, we've all heard the stories of Chernobyl and Fukushima and 3 Mile Island, and these really are very important case studies of what nuclear power plants, the dangers that are involved in their meltdowns that can occur. Just between Chernobyl and Fukushima, 650,000 people were displaced due to radioactive waste, and thousands more received lethal doses of damage that caused cancers that were incurable and other diseases. As long as nuclear power plants have radioactive waste that has no standards, and as long as natural gas is prevalent and remains cheap, there's no reason for the United States to create more nuclear energy.
Nice job, Chandler. You guys still have 38 seconds, so I don't know if you feel like you're done on the negative argument side, or anybody want to toss out anything, or are you guys good?
I think he killed her.
All right, good. He did kill it. Margaret, go ahead.
So by a phenomenon also called NIBY, or NIMBY, or banana, which stands for build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything, there's this effect that there's going to be a very low cooperation with citizens, and a lot of people just don't want nuclear power plants in their backyard, and so they're not going to cooperate, and that's going to make the production process even longer and more drawn out, and therefore inefficient.
Nice. All right, good job. Way to stick that in the last bit there. Good job. All right, so we now go to Maya for on the negative side, we'd like to make a rebuttal, and you have 3 to 4 minutes. So am I right or am I screwed up?
No.
Oh, no, sorry.
Questions
Maurice.
first?
Yeah, thank you for correcting me. All right, so 2 minutes for Maurice to have the affirmative side give your probing questions. So Maurice, take it away, and I'll hit start once you begin.
All right, great. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'd run through Chandler's arguments. Number one, his first point is he mentions low natural gas prices now, about a quarter of the cost of nuclear power. I have a question about this. First off, I'd like to make a statement that natural gas is not clean. It causes a health hazard, and natural gas releases carbon dioxide emissions, and also byproducts of getting natural gas release toxins into the environment that must be stored in large sledge containers. My question for this is, will natural gas prices always remain low? you say there's no need to invest if there's no label by the international community as for nuclear as a clean energy, and you say that natural gas remains cheap and thus we shouldn't take this into consideration. However, I'm going to ask you a question about oil. Do you think oil is going to go back up in cost? Right now it's around $50, $60 a barrel. Will oil always remain this low, or is it just OPEC flooding the market? For natural gas, is it just the Keystone Pipeline? Is it just increased production temporarily instead of us suffering the long term instead of a long-term energy solution? Next, you also claim that no one wants a nuclear power plant in their backyard. However, what's the alternative? It's shown that people living around nuclear power plants don't experience more than background radiation levels. However, if you have a coal power plant in your backyard, if you have any of these in your backyard, you have increased mercury levels, toxins in your backyard. And my question to you is, would you want a coal power plant in your backyard? Would you want a nuclear power plant, coal power plant in your backyard? Would you even want a big solar panel field in your backyard with light pollution, etc.? So I also have a couple more questions.
Sneak them in quickly.
So how do you define nuclear energy? Is it just the current set of nuclear reactors, or does it include lifters, fast reactors, breeder reactors? All of these reactors pose much increased efficiency and next generation nuclear energy. And
thank you. All right, good job. So now we go to 3 to 4 minutes of rebuttal from the negative side, and Maya's going to start us off with that. And I've set the clock to 3 minutes. Maya, whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. So first, you said something about natural gas not being clean energy, but nuclear energy itself is not necessarily clean energy. It's true that it does release less carbon and less greenhouse gases, but its waste is toxic for hundreds of thousands of years, and right now there is no solution for nuclear waste, which it's stored on site. It's oh shit. We need a solution would have to be figured out for the waste before anything could be done with nuclear energy. Also, the excavation of the uranium is not safe. First of all, uranium is also finite, just as natural gas is. And with all of the uranium being excavated from mines and whatever else, radiation is released into the air, and abandoned mines are regularly spreading radiation through air and water. There's also a limited amount of higher quality uranium ore. So when that starts to run out, we're going to have to start mining less quality uranium ore, which is harder to get to. And with all of the machines and power that is going to be needed to get that ore out of the ground, it's going to be a lot more carbon and emissions going into the environment rather than just even with normal nuclear as it is now excavating. You also asked about people don't want nuclear power plants in their backyard. I would much rather a solar panel field in my backyard than a nuclear power plant in my backyard, regularly releasing, even if it is steam and not smoke. Come on. As an alternative, what I would suggest is renewables, focusing more on solar panels and wind machines and hydroelectric, but that's not the issue. How do you define nuclear energy? I would say what we have right now, ignoring the lifters and whatever else, because none of that, it's not in effect wide enough to make any sort of, I guess, dent right now. Right now we deal with the nuclear reactors that are completely in widespread use. Will natural gas prices always remain low? I don't know, and you don't know either. But as Chandler talked about in the opening, nuclear power plants are really, really expensive to build and maintain. Just that it's going to have to projects already in Finland and France have gone way over budget by millions of dollars, and there's going to be a lot of tax subsidies that people are definitely not going to want to pay because people already complain about taxes. And it's, hey, Margaret, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I did want to add that there's the emissions from a gasoline or coal-burning plant are CO2. We've identified that. And that is actually can be somewhat reversed with the introduction of more forests, for example. So it's actually a form of pollution that can actually be reversed because trees use CO2 to do all their different biological processes, whereas something like the sludge and tailings of uranium mining is not something that can be sort of reintroduced or reused somehow in the environment. And so when it dries up in the mines and then it forms a powder and blows off into other fields or into people's homes, it's just becoming a huge problem that is not something that can be reversed like the CO2 emissions if you sort of, it's a little bit of a stretch, but I tried.
Also, there's the fact, no!
You got 10 seconds to keep going.
Nuclear plants are way more dangerous than anything else. They make spaces like way uninhabitable for years. And let's say a terrorist comes in and he's like, I can hit that plant right there and knock out all of Texas. Or, I'm
good job. Woo! All right, well done. All right, now we go to Robin, who is going to argue for the affirmative with the clock set for, the affirmative rebuttal, and the clock set for 4 minutes. So once you start, Robin, I'll hit the clock.
So the first probing question seemed to be that uranium is also there's also a finite amount of uranium ore. And actually a professor at the Zurich University stated that in around 5 years we'll have a synthetic way to produce uranium, and therefore that is perhaps one of the ways to suggest that it is going to be not sort of finite. And additionally, also, one of the points was that mining for these ores is extremely unclean and can produce many dirty products that can contribute to the environment's health in very damaging ways. But again, with the statement that there will be most likely be synthetic fuel for these plants, there's also this, we won't have to mine for these ores, and it's not going to be dirty in this way. And also, you mentioned that it's extremely expensive, and it will also increase in price because of new safety regulations, etc. We must also consider that, for instance, now taking that you are arguing for renewable energy sources, for instance, that is also extremely expensive because it requires a lot of raw materials and other things. And additionally, also from a less sort of financial standpoint, but also in terms of expense, Stephen Griffith sort of coined this term, I'm just going to, renewistan, where he basically said to accommodate the amount of energy that is used by the world per day, you'd have to have the entire United States covered in solar panels, as well as wind turbines, and also fuel/oil plants to really accommodate this amount of energy that is being used. So that is to some extent also a great expanse of land, etc. And so another question that was stated, another probing question was, where will we put them? So where will we put these waste products? Well, specifically, while it was stated that we do not have a sort of waste disposal, we actually do. We have said that we'll put it underground. The only point is that we're trying to search for a better thing. So it's not that we don't have a sort of sustainable place to put them. It's just that we're scientists and others are trying to find a better place to put them. It's not. So it's really, the point is that we do, but we're trying to find a better alternative. And these were sort of my answers to the probing questions.
Okay, your team still has 1 minute and 14 seconds or so if anyone wants to keep going, or any other affirmative rebuttals anyone wants to throw out there?
I guess just in response to Robin, you can go ahead.
Sorry. No, if you want, you can go ahead first. No problem.
Oh, no,
okay.
Please go.
Okay, thanks. So Maya lastly stated that there is the potential that terrorists will attack and somehow damage a nuclear power plant, and this can cause widespread damage. Well, in the past, there's new reactors that are being developed to be situated underground, and they're also very small and much more effective. They produce around, I think, I hope I'm correct in units here, 35 megawatts per hour, something along those lines. And the point is they're underground to restrict any airstrikes, etc., from occurring on them or any other potential damage being inflicted upon them. So, yeah, I'll pass it up to Maurice.
Yeah, just kind of last couple of points. In terms of the...
Okay. All right, let's see. We now go to Max with the negative side making their closing arguments for 2 to 3 minutes. So I'll set this to 3, and Max, I'll start once you start.
All right, so in conclusion, I just want to round up our points, which starts with that in terms of for a less permanent solution, natural gas is lower cost than nuclear energy, and there is, as I believe as Chandler touched on, there is lots of natural gas in the U.S. that has not been tapped into. Despite the fact that there was the argument that natural gas is cost-effective now, but who knows what it'll be like in 10 years and 100 years, the same really can be said for uranium, because like natural gas, it is not renewable, despite the fact that Robin said that there is a possible way of synthesizing it. Do we really want to put all our eggs in this basket off a possible way of synthesizing uranium in the near future? So I feel like even if natural gas goes up, uranium will be in that same boat, whether it be in 100 years as opposed to gas being maybe in 15 years. I think that this same debate will be happening over uranium if that is the path that is followed. On the subject of price, I believe it was Chandler who said that it costs $14 billion to launch a new nuclear power plant. So even if we were to embark on going completely nuclear, it would be devastating to our economy to put in enough nuclear power plants where where the United States, let alone the world, could be completely functional on them. It would crush the U.S. economy or the world economy, depending on what scale we put it on. Going back to comparing natural gas and nuclear, as Chandler said, the Exelon chairman, who is owner of 23 nuclear power plants, he himself said that if natural gas conditions stay the way they are, and that natural gas is still available and still cheap, then nuclear power plants are not economically advantageous. Also, on the subject of waste, despite the fact that Robin proposed that there is a way to deal with the waste in underground, the fact that people are looking for a quote-unquote better place means that in the ground wouldn't be sufficient. If there needs to be a better place to put the waste, then that implies there's something about putting it underground that would be unsafe or in some way insufficient. And finally, I think we just need to, again, reiterate just how dangerous things can be, that a nuclear power plant can be when things go wrong. No matter how unlikely or what safety precautions are there, the fact that it is possible that something like Fukushima, or a natural phenomenon, made things go so wrong, there's no protecting against that, and that truly can be devastating to a population, to an area, or anything, or a group of people.
All right, nice job. And Samvit, you have the final affirmative making closing arguments. You have 2 to 3 minutes. I'll set the clock to 3 minutes and start when you start.
Wait, a question. We're already at the affirmative closing argument?
Yes, sir.
The time goes by quickly.
Does, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. This has been a good debate. Let's see. In response to the negatives rebuttal regarding, in particular, the drawbacks of nuclear energy and whether we should have more of it in the United States, let us not forget primarily that there are more ways to do nuclear plants than the negative has mentioned. This entire debate, they have criticized frequently the uranium model, and while the uranium model does have certain issues that we have addressed from learning from the aftermath of the unfortunate aforementioned disasters, let us not forget that this in the 21st century, where in a world where nuclear weaponry is not our top priority, rather it's adapting to a changing society and looking forward to a brighter future. We need not be concerned. Moving forward, while the cost of a nuclear power plant is quite a good thing, sure it may be expensive. We must remember that in the end, while the negative criticize that uranium is potentially not renewable, in spite of our possibility of a potential renewable solution, albeit for the uranium model, and that is not considering the abundance of thorium in our atmosphere. Inside the Earth that can allow us to run lifters for all our energies for many, many years to come. If the negative is uncomfortable with nuclear in its current state, like aviation, we have spent much time learning about improving the safety of nuclear power plants, and if at the end of the day it is not what we need, we will have developed on the side for long enough to be able to move beyond nuclear energy into other forms of energy we may not even know about. It may not. One could argue that that nuclear energy, not just the uranium form again, but all sorts of forms like the lifter, the fast reactor, and the breeder can be simply a gateway into the future, and it need not be the need all and end all, and for those reasons, we should invest in it because. At the other end of the tunnel, we will know as a nation whether we should be comfortable with this energy because we will have learned with it. We will have experimented with it. We will understand what its capabilities are. And we will have advanced as a country with regards to energy. Consequently, that means that in the end, we should invest more in nuclear energy because simply put, it is the gateway to the future. And in spite of its drawbacks, we learn from them, and we make our country safer that way. So.
Boom! All right, with that, we end our debate. Let's give everybody a hand on that. Good job. All right, excellent. How are we doing on time? We got 2:54. That was impressive. Good job, everybody across the board. Anybody have any... the nature of the debate is set, so you can only do your thing during your time. Does anyone have anything they'd like to either comment about or say about either your side or the other side, or any final thoughts about pro or con on that concept? Yeah, Sambit.
Oh, sorry.
This debate format, frankly, I found a bit confusing. In part because I'm used to a format where both sides give opening arguments, and then there's a period of cross-examination. Then they do another round of argumentation where it's formal rebuttal. Then they do another round. Then they do a second round of shorter rebuttals. Then I think they go to closing statements.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, when I set this up, I went to our debate people and asked them, and they gave me this advice, and this, according to them, was the way, they do debates. So certainly there could be others. And this was the agreed upon format going in here. So I understand your argument or comments, but today was what it was. So anyone wants to, if you want to send me anything you'd suggest, maybe by email or feedback, that'd be great. Margaret?
I was really surprised. I had no idea how much that a nuclear power plant costs to make. It's actually more than it costs to make the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. That was only $9 billion. So I was a little blown away at some of the statistics I found on that. I don't know if I actually believe them because there were so many different ones. There was like people that said 6 to 10. There was one that Chandler found that said 14. I found one that said 22.7. It was so crazy.
Yeah.
I wish we had some sort of more reliable online sources.
Well, you're bringing up a good point about any source online you have to watch, and then you could maybe figure out. But anyway, Max, go ahead.
I would assume that I don't think it can account for like an $8 billion fluctuation in the different. But it's like I would assume there's some amount of like how much, like I'm sure different people like equate mining uranium so much and how much uranium it actually takes to get things started that can amount to some amount of difference. But I wouldn't, the difference between whatever was one person found 6 billion and 22, I don't think that can be explained.
I'm going to get everybody to send me an email real quickly. Tell me if you think there was a winner in this debate, and whether you think the pro side did a better job or the negative side. And obviously, that's you guys were on a team, so it may be hard to vote fairly. A second thing, just give me a sense of how you feel like the debate went from your perspective. Do you feel like your team worked well together? And are you proud of the way it worked out? Or if you could do it differently, would you do anything differently, if it were next week or whatever? So just give me a little feedback on that, a quick email. I'd appreciate it. And Robin, do you want to say something while people email away?
Sure. So I actually just, while I was doing some research, it was actually quite interesting to notice that it's, basically, there was in 2010 in Connecticut, there was a power plant explosion. I think it was a natural gas power plant. And this is sort of just an interesting point to make, that this killed 5 people immediately and injured 51. But the point is that in Fukushima, for instance, officially no one got killed. So to some extent, it's sort of, again, perhaps contributing to this idea whether they're completely safe. No, this is sort of just an interesting point.
Robin, that is such a good point to bring up, and I'm going to scold the yes team right now, so you guys should hear it. You should have made that point in your debate. People die from natural gas. Whole blocks explode. It makes the news all the time. So you got to push that hard. If you're saying, this is the no people. Sorry, I apologize. The no people should have pushed that. The yes. The yes people should have pushed that as why we should do nuclear, because nothing is safe out there. So natural gas has probably killed more people than nuclear. Hands down in terms of energy production. So the yes side, I think, lost a little bit of argument by not somehow slipping that in somewhere. So I think if you're going to criticize yourselves, look back on that. Was there something you missed? And maybe that's the other question for you guys. You guys were also anticipating what the other side was going to say. Do you think they missed some of their best fire by not throwing this question at you or that question at you? So that's another question I'd throw out to people. You can decide to respond now. Or Maya, go for it.
Nothing. I just find it funny that Robin knew that and I didn't. I live here.
Well, yeah, see, you live in the state. That's an interesting comment, so thanks. Yeah. Do people need a little more time to finish up the email? Okay. Let's just take another minute, keep it short.
You're going to really like my email.
Nice. Okay, I realize I may not have given you enough time. So the good news is the nature of this class is I can't tell what you're doing on the other side of that screen. So you can either continue to email or you can send it now or keep playing that video game that you're playing, yes, Max or someone else. I'm going to switch gears a little bit just because we're getting ready to come up to a break. And I want to try to be clear about that. And also I want to talk about sort of the future and where we're going with things. Can you guys open up I see a number of you actually on this. Can you open up the MSON ATIC Chem projects that I sent you a little bit just before class. What this will do is show us some projects possibly for the future, and I'm projecting this as well. And I'm going to get off the chat, or try to get off the chat, so that I can project as much up on the screen as possible. I think if I move the chat over this way.
How do you get to the chat? I want to see.
I don't know. It just popped up for me within the Google Doc. I don't know why. Every time I close it, it keeps opening back up. Because I don't know why. So the next thing, I'll just forget it then. The next thing, we are going to continue on. When we get back from spring break, one of the things we'll do is we'll discuss where we are in Disappearing Spoon. So I would like to continue some of that, and we will. I have sort of some things I want to just talk to you guys about in terms of chemistry. But if we look at this document, these are some possible projects going forward that I'd like you guys to consider. And I just kind of sat down and was doing some brainstorming. The thing I'm going to do is have us move away from nuclear now and move into just chemistry in general. And the next thing you're going to do is make another presentation to class. So I'm going to ask you to create a Google Doc. I'm going to ask you to, share your research with me on that. I'm going to ask you to make a presentation to the class similar to your last one, where you make a 5 to 7 minute, you become the teacher for 5 to 7 minutes, and you let us know about something that you find entertaining, interesting, fun. And I've got some things brainstormed out here, and I think Margaret has already told me as we started class, she's thinking about fluorine maybe as her topic. So I'm going to go over one sheet. I think you can see me getting ready to click on it. I'm going to click on student projects. So I'll type in Margaret here, and Margaret, you say you want to think right now you want to do fluorine, or let's call it fluoride.
Fluoridation of water.
Okay, good. That's the topic there. And as people think, oh yeah, here's something I think it would be fun. Why don't you just click over onto the student projects, add your name, and then what project you think you want to do. You absolutely do not have to decide today. And I'll just read some examples. Like you might, within water treatment, you might find lead poisoning interesting, or you might look at industrial chemistry. You might think about, well, how do they mine thorium? Or you might be interested in the parts per million of cesium in the Earth's crust, and what are some implications of that? How does just about anything, though, is going to have chemical applications. Like you can go into the natural world of poisons, like the venom from snakes, or what is it about poison ivy or other plants that harm our skin. You could present us with the chemical structure and talk about that a little bit. You could talk about, there's so many things, though. I wrote down heat capacity and its importance to the Earth. How does an air conditioner work? There are gases inside that expand and then are compressed later. And so there's all kinds of things. There are components within stereos that produce sound. And you could be talking to us about pesticides, or how do shampoos work? Or, I've been impressed with sunblock over my life. Like, when I was growing up as a kid, we didn't have it, or certainly didn't use it. But you guys, it's ubiquitous for you guys now, and you probably wouldn't think about going outside without it. Help us understand a little bit from a chemical perspective what's going on there. There's tons of things that might be important about sewage treatment. It's probably one of the most important things in terms of world health and water safety. How do you keep a set of people from getting dysentery and dehydrating from that problem? So sewage treatment is an incredibly important thing worldwide, and same as water treatment. Questions or comments, or anything else, Margaret?
I don't want to get off topic here, but you said there were going to be demonstrations after this project at some point. I just wanted to ask quickly while we're on the topic. Would a copper etching using a car battery and electrochemistry count as a demonstration? Because I have videos of that I've done.
Yeah. Yep. And if we just look through the sheets that are here, so you could sign up. Oh, good. Some people have already said, like Maya, Want to dissolve the spoon. So my dissolving the spoon would be more like, it might be more like a demo for later. So what I'd want is a project that somehow you go in and do some study about it, and then it has a chemical, nature of it for some sort that you'd have to go do some research for. Like Maurice is saying, opiates. So yeah, he's going to have to do some research on opiates and then, help educate us about opiates. He's not going to take them. Thanks, Max, for clarifying that. So I think we'd do something other than wanting to dissolve the spoon, even though I think that would be a good thing to do, but just not a good research project. If we click on the next sheet over, it shows the project guidelines. So this just, again, tells us what's expected. And then go over one more and you can see the rubric. This is how ultimately I'll score you, and the points that I'll assess for just different things. So if you want to kind of get a look ahead at, and that might be a good way to check off, like, oh yeah, I got my Google Doc and I'm good to go there or whatever. The main thing that I want is for you guys to pick something that's exciting for you and interesting. I hope you signed up for this course because you thought, well, I want to learn about some things that I haven't learned in other chemistry classes. So again, anything from ozone to CFCs, you could take one aspect of global warming or acid rain. There's so many cool things out there that you could become a mini expert in and then help the rest of us learn about that. So that's my goal for the projects. We got about 8 minutes. Let me make a couple comments. We have a 2.5 week break. So this is the last time I see you guys until April. So 2.5 weeks of not meeting in class. So Margaret, that'll help with the stress levels you're feeling now. Here's the thing. Take a week and a half off and just make sure you have a good spring break. But then 1 week of that time, of our 2.5 weeks off, I do need you to think, I actually have work I need to do for this class. So some of that work could be reading in Disappearing Spoon, which doesn't feel like work because it's fun. It could be researching this project, which doesn't feel like work because it's fun and educational and entertaining. And then just, again, thinking about that eventually you are going to be making a presentation and doing some work and presenting to the class. So 2.5 weeks, but think of it as a week and a half of break, and I really want you to take a break where you don't have to think about it at all, but then 1 week of figuring out how you're going to do some work. Just so you guys know, the folks from Fort Worth Country Day have been out this week because of their spring break, so I'm going to have them and meet with them while you guys are off, and we'll do a nuclear debate that you won't be a part of. If you happen to have them shared on your Google Doc, I need you to unshare them. Can I just get clarification that they are unshared at this point on the Google Docs? Yes for the no side, and how about for the yes side? Maurice, Olivia, Robin, or Samvith, one of you created that document. Do you know if you've unshared the two Fort Worth Country Day folks? Are people not hearing me? This is a question for Maurice, Olivia, Robin, or Samvith.
I think so.
Who am I uninviting? Who am I unsharing?
You're unsharing Casey, any of the kids from Fort Worth. So it's Casey, Willie, Chad, or Joel.
Done.
You the man. All right, thank you for that. They're doing their own Google Doc and shouldn't have access to what you guys have done. How about questions from you guys about anything?
What's the thing about? Sorry, hold on. I was trying to find the page.
Not a problem.
The Element Project. What's that?
Okay, so I anticipate after this project you becoming an expert in any element that you want. Maybe you have a favorite element out there, like, I don't know, whatever. There's some really cool things about elements, and I'd like you to become, again, an expert on that element. And I'm trying to remember. I feel like I'm going to do something different with that, but I got to figure out what I'm doing. But essentially, you're going to become an expert in that element. And I'm trying to remember if you make a presentation or not, and I have to think that through. Also, here's an encouragement. If you are like Max and did your presentation last time live, you are that would be Max or Samvith, for example. I'm encouraging you strongly to do either a screencast or some kind of video that, because again, I think it's a skill that's a really handy one to learn. If people did a video last time, I want you to at least consider whether maybe doing a presentation live in class might have some advantages of, you flip through the slides and you talk to us in a natural way and almost like you're our teacher. But if you liked doing the video presentation, I think those do work well, and they have the advantage of, as long as I get them or we get them to our classmates in time, people can watch them and have very good solid sound quality and video quality. As we go into our next projects, before then, I hope to have been giving you feedback on your last project. A good project goes, you are speaking very clearly. I'm going to give a shout out to Olivia, who happens to be really good at enunciating and speaking very clearly, and just as a model for, really good. Olivia, do you have any stage presence experience or acting or anything? Do you mind sharing? No.
No, but I mean, I've been doing science fair since I was in 6th grade, so I'm used to like the presentational side of science, I guess.
Matt says he took basic acting technique in 9th grade, so it's something that I think we can all get better at. But just a quick shout out to Olivia, because again, it's a skill to be able to enunciate clearly and get your point across clearly and try not to stumble too much. And that's just something that you'll get better with as you work through it. So a goal on the next one is to really sharpen your presentation down and try to think like a teacher and think, what do I want these folks to get out of my presentation? What do I want them to learn? Some of you could make your slides a little better. If you have too many words on a slide, that's actually hard to follow. If you have too little information and you're doing a lot of talking but there's nothing to look at, that's also a weakness in a presentation. So maybe you'll have a sense once I give you feedback on your last one, but you guys saw 12 presentations, or you saw 11 and made one. Think about what you really appreciated when your classmates were presenting and try to move yours up a level for that. I will share that one person in the last set of presentations actually got their presentation to me in advance, had me watch it. I made criticisms and suggestions, and they went back and made changes. So their project moved from one place to a much better place by that feedback. And I'm not saying you have to do that, and that certainly takes time. But if that person, I think, got the chance of extra feedback along the way. You could always send me your slideshow in advance and say, hey, how do you feel like this is in terms of clarity of presentation, the order in which I'm presenting things? Because, again, you want to think about your audience. You want to give them a broad overview, then you want to go into specifics, then you want to end with that nice summary slide that kind of sums up everything. And you're trying to get a lot of information in 5 to 7 minutes. You don't want to talk so fast that your audience doesn't even get it. So it might be that you have to bring down the amount of information you cover. You can't cover, if you're doing preservatives, you couldn't do every preservative that exists in the world. You'd have to, just select a few. Quick comments or questions within our last minute or so before I send you off for a 2.5-week break, but you only get 1.5 weeks off. Is anybody not excited for break, or is everybody excited for some break time? All right. Well, anyway, no matter what, have a good time. Do relax and enjoy yourselves. And if you find yourself, someplace nice and reading under a tree, Disappearing Spoon, that's awesome too, or on a plane somewhere. Have a good one. Good break. I will see you guys in 2.5 weeks, and I will be in contact by email just a little bit. So bye-bye, guys, and great job with the debate today. Bye-bye, Samvit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walker.
Bye, Robin. Job.
Have a great spring break.
Thank you, buddy. Too.
I've recruited Louisa into both of your MSON classes.
Enjoy your spring break, Mr. Walker. Gotta be to, what's the standing?